Okay, so in today's video, guys, we are going to be going through the top Easter eggs by chapter in Piggy. So in today's video, we're going to be going through every single Piggy chapter, and we are going to be going through the main Easter eggs that did appear in each of those chapters. Now, this is very similar to the secrets video that I have been doing recently, but today's video, there's going to be a total of 21 secrets. Now, I'm sure that these are probably going to be quite a few that you know about, because these are going to be the main Easter eggs per chapter. So today's video is going to be a very interesting one indeed. But guys, if you could be using star code Antixx when you're buying Robux or Premium, that would be much appreciated. And of course, if you do, make sure to take a picture and send it to me over on Twitter or Discord so that I can show my appreciation. We're also getting extremely close to 200,000 subscribers. So what are you doing? Subscribe, guys. Come on, help me here. But anyway, the top Easter eggs by chapter in Piggy. Let's do this. Number 1, the house. Now, in the original house chapter, there wasn't really that many secrets. However, there was a Gertie chapter that did come out that did mention about something pretty interesting. So take a look at this. Now, the interesting thing here is that it basically said something along the lines of, it sounded like it came from a different dimension. Now, that is pretty interesting considering the whole kind of secret things that I have been doing recently about the underneath. Number 2, the station. Now, really, the main Easter egg that did appear in the station was that green river. What exactly is that in the green river? Is it the vaccine? Is it just simply a sewers? But for me, I would say that that is the main Easter egg that does appear in the station. If you guys do have any other ideas that could be main Easter eggs, then of course let me know in the comment section down below. Number 3, the gallery. Now, of course, there wasn't actually any notes or anything like that that did appear in the gallery. However, there was one very interesting thing that did appear at one point. And that, of course, would be this wanted poster. Now, of course, on this wanted poster, you can clearly see that George's eyes were red. So at the time, that was the main Easter egg that did come out of the gallery. Number 4, the forest. Now again, this is the chapter that, you know, Doggy got infected and stuff like that. However, I would say that now the main whole Easter egg that happened in the forest is to do with Mr. Stitchy. Of course, that is where Mr. Stitchy actually spawned in. Now, could that have something to do with the storyline further down the line? Well, guys, we're just going to have to wait and find out. But for me, that is the main Easter egg from the forest. Number 5, the school. Now, really, there wasn't necessarily that many Easter eggs in this chapter either. However, there was one pretty big thing that did happen in the end cutscenes, and that was that the player fell sick. We then got transported to the hospital, but the interesting thing about this very Easter egg is that the player is still infected. It still has traces of the infection inside of the player. And I'm pretty certain that there is going to be something at the end of book 2 that is going to basically bring that up once again. Number 6, the hospital. Now, really, there wasn't necessarily that much. We did see Doggy as we got, you know, transported in from the previous chapter, so I guess that's kind of like interlocking chapters in a way. However, in this chapter, I felt like that the main Easter egg is pretty much just that door on the floor. I would say that this is the starting point of the infection. This is where Mrs. P fell sick, etc. And I'm pretty sure that she was in that little cubicle type thing, and that Mrs. P is the person that actually knocked that door down onto the floor. Number 7, the metro. Now, the main Easter egg in this one is that Bunny fell sick. Bunny got oofed. There was something strange about that. And of course, apparently Mr. P decided that he was going to go and give her some form of vaccine. So Mr. P knew that Bunny was falling sick because he basically left us alone in the hospital chapter and basically just ran away. So Bunny falling sick was the main Easter egg for me in the Metro. Number 8, the Carnival. Now this is where things start to get a little bit juicy. In the Carnival, we had the introduction of TSP, which was a pretty big turning point inside of Piggy. You had content creators literally doing videos about this left, right, and center. Yep, including me. But at the time, this was a pretty big thing that was going on. There was that note that was signed by TSP, and it was clear that TSP was not a good person or group. At the time, it kind of seemed as though that TSP was a person. Everyone thought that it was going to be the Super Potato. However, Minitoon, I think, would have got into a little bit of issues if it was to be the Super Potato. But the introduction of TSP was such a big turning point for Piggy, and it is what really gave Piggy its storyline. Number 9, the city. Now, of course, the main Piggy secret in this one was, of course, Mrs. P literally just chilling up in that window. This was an Easter egg, one of my favorite Easter eggs to this date. It threw so many questions on Mrs. P. What is she doing up there? Why is she up there? And where has she been all this time? And this was also the first sighting that we had of Mrs. P. Which reminds me, actually, Intercity does take place after Piggy, so I wonder if the Mrs. P is actually still up in that window. Number 10, the mall. Now, oh boy, is this one gotta be the don't trust the SI note. Wow, this was quite the Easter egg. This got so many people talking, so many people doing predictions. Don't trust the sisters, don't trust the signal. Guys, the list went on and on. But of course, it looks as though now that it could well have been the silver paw. However, I'm not so sure if that note ever did mean the silver paw. But for me, this again was probably in my top 5 Easter eggs of the entire Piggy storyline. Number 11, the Outpost. Now I feel like this Easter egg actually took maybe quite a couple of hours for it to actually be spotted, and that is the fact that Bunny was literally just chilling up in that tower. Why was Shadow Bunny just up in that tower when we saw her in the plant and she was slightly more different then? This was a really good idea to add into Piggy, and I do believe that this was IKEA's idea to actually add in the shadow version of Bunny. But of course we know Bunny got oofed from the Metro, and this is the next sighting that we had of her, which was extremely weird. Number 12, distorted memory. Now for me, the main Easter egg in this one, which still has some relevance to today, is the fact that George is infected. In the end cutscenes, you clearly see that George, he falls onto his knees and he says, "Oh no, not now," as if this has happened before. George knows that this has happened before and that he cannot control this. As if something is controlling him. What could be controlling George's infection? Well guys, we're gonna get to that later in this video. Number 13, the plant. Now this has to be one of the biggest Roblox hunts of all time, and Minitoon created the true ending. Now this took absolutely weeks. Now the true ending was a badge that you could get inside of Piggy. Now you had to go into player and bot, and you had to go into the city, pick up the Mrs. P picture that was underneath the car, take it all the way into the plant map, and you basically had to complete that chapter. But this hunt literally took ages, and this is why I have made this badge the main Easter egg of the finale of Book 1. Number 14, the alleys. Now for me, there's quite a few Easter eggs in this one, the main one being this Linioma disease as well as Lucella. Now we now know from the Ali's map that this whole disease, this whole infection is called the Linioma disease because there was that note explaining it. We also now know that this was the introduction to cities and places inside of Piggy. We actually found out in this chapter that we are in fact in Lucella. And I just want to give an honorable mention to another Easter egg, which is those binoculars that were up inside of Leo's laundromat. That again was another huge Easter egg. Number 15, the store. Now for me, this Easter egg is most definitely the fact that TSP were finally revealed. The Silver Paw, who would have thought it, eh? I also did a weird little song on it at one point, so if you fancy it, here it is.
Running from the law, can't believe what I saw. Of all the things that I've seen, it was the wildest of all. Don't know what to think about this club. They call themselves the Silver Paw. Gonna gather up all the intel I have, try to make a connection on your behalf.
Yeah, that's enough, because it was a little bit of a weird one. But the store did eventually reveal that TSP were the Silver Paw, and I actually remember being away on holiday at this point and just doing loads of videos on TSP theories and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden TSP get revealed while being away. That was a tough one to swallow. Number 16, the Refinery. Now for me, the main Easter egg inside of this one is that Zizzy got infected. This was the end cutscene that literally tore people apart. It actually made people go pretty crazy at Minitoon, making Minitoon literally have to confirm on Twitter that Zizzy is not dead and that she's literally just infected. But there wasn't really an awful lot that was going on inside of the Refinery. There was of course that number that did get changed on the Refinery, but we're still really not sure as to why that is. But again, the main Easter egg for me is the fact that Zizzy got infected. Number 17, the safe place. Now this one's a really interesting one because this was the introduction of the Insolence. This was the first signs that we saw of the Insolence eye on that wall, and there was also a note right next to it. Another Easter egg is the fact that Zizzy's sword has gone. Now is this because that, you know, Zizzy's hand is now gone, because that we learn inside of chapter 8. But there were two Easter eggs inside of the safe place. Zizzy's sword disappearing as well as the introduction of the Insolence. Number 18, the sewers. Now this one's really interesting, just simply because this was the first time that we had something kind of audio based inside of Piggy that was an Easter egg. Now of course in that classroom down below in the sewers there was the Insolence eye that was literally behind that chalkboard. That Insolence eye that literally gave out whispers, which was weird. Now the interesting thing about this, linking back to a previous Easter egg, is the fact that of course we are playing as the player, and the player heard those whispers. So not only is Pony hearing the whispers, but the player too. And that's why that I feel like this was the biggest Easter egg inside of the sewers. Number 19, the factory. Now the weird Easter egg in this one is that all of the TSP members were literally in trouble. Why were they in trouble? Why was Pandy stuck up on a ladder? Why were people underneath rubble? Why were people trapped behind fire? Something weird happened in this chapter. I feel like nobody ever questioned as to how these TSP members actually got into trouble, and that Willow was literally just walking around as if nothing ever happened. For me, that's extremely weird, and I still feel like that's quite an Easter egg to this day. How did they get there? Again, if you have any suggestions or like beliefs down in the comment section, then let me know. Number 20, the port. Now, of course, this one is 100% the main Easter egg in the port is spawning in friend. You have to click on 5 Insolent's eyes, and then all of a sudden, this weird little black thing literally starts crawling around the map as if he's Mr. Stitchy, and he's literally just grabbing at you, and he's extremely fast. Fast as you. Now this is a really interesting Easter egg because Friend is literally the exact same structure skin as Mr. Stitchy, and it's basically hinting towards that Mr. Stitchy could actually be a canon inside of Piggy. So again, I would probably put this into the top 5 Easter eggs inside of Piggy. Number 21, the Medora. Now, this is currently where we're at. You know, this was the ship map. I know I just called it the Medora. I still feel like this chapter should be called the Medora rather than the ship, because the ship is called the Medora, but it is what it is. But for me, the main Easter egg inside of this chapter is, of course, Budgie is a little bit weird. Budgie is a liar for sure. So there is some form of Easter egg, but there is also that banging from the blue container. Now, we did do a video on this where I feel this, you know, whole secret lays. So if you would like to check that video out, then make sure to go and do so. But for me, the main Easter egg in the Medora, the ship, is of course that banging container. There is something on the inside because the crate is creaking, it's knocking as if somebody is running their hand or something along the inside of that container. But anyway guys, that's going to be it from me today. Hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we shall see you guys in the next one.